The Sanyang Motor Company, SIM, a company that has been in the two-wheel production game since it started building motorbikes for Honda back in 1961, makes the PCH family of scooters for the Lance brand. Lance imports a variety of scooters from SIM for sale in the domestic market under its own moniker, which brings us to the 2016 PCH models with a choice of 50, 125 and 150 cubic centimeters engines. Though the US doesn't use the stratified operator licensing employed by other nations, negating the need to shop by engine size for those requirements, we do have a 150 cubic centimeters minimum displacement for legal highway travel. Since the biggest PCH model meets that requirement, the models with the smaller engines give customers some alternatives so you can shop by price, or desired top speed to get exactly what you need for your purposes. As much as I like the classic scooter form we get with models like the Vino Classic from Yamaha, and any number of Piaggio products, for instance, I gotta say I really like the look of these PCH rides. The front fairing/leg guards carry an angular look that gives the ride a sporty bent, and hints at a greater aerodynamic efficiency than the old-school, flat-face style. This is a trade-off though, since you also get a little less in the way of wind and spray protection. A teeny-tiny wind deflector mounted on the handlebars might break some wind off your core, but I think it's mostly there to shade the instrument cluster. The rest of the ride is as slim as the front, and the beveled corners on the saddle will make it feel even slimmer. This slimness makes for a nearly straight shot to the ground for your feet, and the 31-inch seat height should fit all but the shortest of riders. A full step-through allows for easy mounting and plenty of footroom, but the narrow build cuts down on the secondary cargo area between your feet. The under-seat storage compartment has room for a half helmet plus a few other bits and bobs, but you won't be storing your 3/4 or full-face bucket in there. A tapering sweep to the rear end brings the body to a graceful exit with the tail light forming the terminal point for a nice continuity of design. A tubular steel underframe forms the bone structure, a design far superior to the unibody approach in my opinion since the body panels are not structural, and can be easily replaced if damaged. This gives you a more durable ride in the event of a wreck as long as you don't tweak the frame. Telescopic front forks float the front end in a right side up layout with bellogators to protect the fork seal, and a coilover monoshock supports the rear off the swing mount motor assembly. No adjustments in the suspension to speak of, not even a preload adjustment, so what you get is what you got as far as the ride goes. I haven't tested it, but I imagine light riders may find it a little stiff, and heavy riders or two-up riders will find it a tad squishy. Cast aluminum rims mount 12-inch hoops, with a 120/70 up front and a 130/70 in back for a beefy look and decent contact patch. While the tires fit the rest of the design, I think I would rather have 14-inch tires for greater rough road handling and safety, but that's just me. A two-pot, piston and anvil caliper binds the 190mm front disc, and a 130mm, mechanical drum brake slows the rear. The front caliper also brings a little flash to the front end with a bright red finish that contrasts with its surrounds for a nice, racy touch. So far, all three models have been identical across the board, but now we get to the point of divergence. The sub-model names round the actual displacement up or down, so we really have a 49 cubic centimeters, a 124 cubic centimeters, and a 151 cc mill on offer. While there are differences between the engines besides displacement, they all share the same showpiece technology, the electroplated, Ni/6 ceramic cylinder bore plating. This plating hardens and protects the cylinder wall, and serves as a high-tech solution to the old, heavy, iron cylinder inserts. A carburetor handles aspiration on all three air-cooled engines with a capacitor discharge ignition, CDI, on spark control duty. While the 50 and 125 look very similar around the drivetrain area, the 150 uses some beefier looking drive unit parts and a sportier exhaust shield. All three models come with electric start, but the 50 alone comes with a Kickstarter as an emergency backup, or if you just want to look cool kicking it to life. Now for some important numbers. The 50 puts out 1.9 horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 1.58 pound-feet of torque at 6,500 RPM, for a top speed that is restricted to 30 miles per hour and gives you 117 mpg. A little bigger, the 125 bumps that up to 8.38 horsepower and 6.14 pound-feet at the same RPM brakes, with a 59 miles per hour max speed and 90 mpg. The big boy, wink nudge, cranks out 10.3 horsepower at 7,500 RPM, and the torque peaks out a bit earlier with 7.96 pound-feet at an even 6 grand with 87 mpg. Though the 151 cubic centimeters displacement and top speed of 65 miles per hour technically qualifies it for legal highway use, I would be terrified to hit the interstate on it. Yeah, it will do the speed limit, or close to it in most places, but you would have nothing left if you were to need it. All three engines come with a centrifugal clutch, and a CVT drive unit mated with the mill, and the rear axle forms the typical, one-piece, swing mount setup. The beauty of this, of course, is the easy, shiftless operation and the elimination of the clutch lever, a nice feature that allows newer riders to concentrate on other things, such as keeping it between the lines. Prices vary mainly based on engine size, with the 50 at $1,499, the 125 at $1,899 and the 150 at $2,199. They all come with a 2-year, limited factory warranty, and in a whole slew of colors. The two smaller models come with a glossy finish, while the 150 sports a matte palette.